please tell me what's your name?
Well, my name's Pushkar.
Nice to meet you. I'm asking people about global warming, its effect on their personal life, what would they change, and what's their plans for the future.
Oh, you're asking the right person. I'm a climate scientist and I specialize in global warming. But basically, I mean, there's all sorts of ways it affects personal lives, right? I mean, first of all, if you're worried about future generations, it directly affects future generations. We're the first generation, the one that's currently living, that might leave a worse planet for future generations than our predecessors did. So that's a huge thing, the moral aspect. But as far as what I changed personally, there's lots of things that individuals can do. You know, for instance, not drive as much. That's probably the single most important thing. And others are, switch from incandescent light bulbs to fluorescent light bulbs. There's all sorts of things, and one of the other most important things is to get Congress, U.S. Congress, to finally act in a meaningful way on global warming.
And you personally, what will you change in your life?
Oh, there's lots of things that I do that are pretty environmentally friendly. But for instance, I'm a vegetarian, but I've been one since birth. But it happens to be also good for global warming because when you eat lower on the food chain, you consume a lot less energy because a lot of energy goes into making livestock, for instance, and I also try to buy organic. That's also better for the environment because it relies less on fossil fuels, which therefore means less carbon dioxide emitted to the atmosphere. And I also don't drive. And when I did drive, I had a hybrid car. So those are things.
Excellent. I wish everybody would be so conscious as you.
Thanks.
Then we have a chance. Just yesterday, Oprah showed the program Going Green. And it's amazing how little people know about the energy saving and our personal impact on the global warming.
Right. There's lots of things, as I mentioned, that people can do both individually and collectively. And probably the most important one is, at this point, collectively, is to get the U.S. Congress to pass some kind of meaningful action and strict action to severely reduce U.S. greenhouse gas emissions.
Especially with the cars.
Exactly, with the cars is a big thing, but also with industry. Industry is also very important. Most notably, coal-fired power plants. We must have what's called a moratorium, that is a freeze on the building of new coal-fired power plants unless they have what's called CO2 sequestration technology. That means technologies that will allow them to prevent their CO2 from being emitted into the atmosphere and will do what's called capture the CO2 before it's released to the atmosphere, and then sequester that CO2 either underground or most likely under the ocean's seafloor, so under the seafloor.
So being the climate specialist, you're aware about the solar, wind and ocean energies, which are so undermined right now and not tapped into such amazing resources.
Right, those will be important, but that's more of a long-term issue. Right now, with there was a transition to renewable energy. That's more important for the long term. But right now, what we need to focus and emphasis on is definitely individual and collective energy conservation measures, energy efficiency measures. So like the ones I mentioned, namely people have to do everything they can possibly think of to consume less energy. Because right now the vast majority, virtually all of our energy, especially here in the U.S., comes from fossil fuels. And especially electricity, for instance, is mostly from coal-fired power plants and natural gas-fired plants. And so yeah, that's a major problem in terms of global warming.
So please tell me, that was so great. What are you doing here today? Earth Day, New York.
Yeah.
What
so
is all about?
The ultimate goal here is just to raise awareness about the planet that we live on, and to raise, not just to educate people, but also make them appreciate how special this planet is.
How beautiful it is.
How beautiful it is, and how special and unique it is in many ways. It's the only planet we know of. Yeah, exactly. So, and the ways that simple things that people can do, from personal choices to collective actions that can have an effect on protecting the Earth. That's the ultimate goal.